Well, there's an old saying that a week is a long time in sport. A month, therefore, is an eternity. It is the time of year where anything can happen and dreams come true. So what time is it? It's Trevor time.
Nothing's happening. I think my next adventure will probably be overseas. Santa's gone quiet on that front, so see what the new year brings in.
Giannis again, right side, counter pocket. He's on one tonight.
Yes, we are lucky enough to be joined by the new assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks, Trevor Gleeson. Welcome back to the Dribble podcast.
Well, this is a little bit strange, isn't it?
It is a little bit strange. Without a word of a lie, the last time we spoke pre-Christmas was December 12. You were in this studio and we booked you in to be back in this studio on January 9. Then Woj drops a little bit of information that you signed with the Bucks. I've called you thinking you'd be on the couch in Perth watching their game, and there you were on TV. It's moved pretty fast. Talk us through the entire month.
Yeah, like you said, it did move pretty fast, and I've been in contact with AG for a little while. We were good friends at Toronto, and I've been in touch with him since June, July. So, I got a phone call, and he said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Would you like to come and join the staff, as soon as possible?" So then, we just had to talk to the GM and tick a few boxes, and then all of a sudden, Boxing Day, I was on a flight out of Perth.
So relationships are so important. You had mentioned a couple of times as we were just chatting casually, I've been chatting to AJ and he asked me to have a look at this and we were talking about that and stuff. So maintaining relationships has really been the key to getting this job, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's so funny that, I was so happy when he got the head coaching job, and I thought I might have been a chance then, but he said he had to hire some different staff, and I kind of understand the politics involved, and I was just lucky one of the coaches stepped away and there was a vacancy in the staff, and happy to be here, and there's a guy that I really trust and got a lot of respect for, and worked closely with for 2 years, and when he asked to join the staff, it was a no-brainer on that part.
So I find it really interesting that you built a relationship with Nick Nurse over the years, and that was what got you out to Toronto. When we were in America together at the preseason games in Denver and Utah, I asked Quinn Snyder at Utah a question about yourself and the team, and he pumped up your tyres. And I was walking down the corridor shortly afterwards, and I hear, "Hey, Aussie, hey, Aussie." And I thought I'd gone down the wrong path, but he's chasing after me to say, "I meant what I said then about him being a really good coach. We do know each other. Don't think I was just pumping up his tyres for the sake of it." You take us through the importance and what you do to make sure that you have these relationships. How often you talk to people and how you build them over the years?
Well, it's not really, I'm not on the doorstep all the time. It's, especially in summer league, it's a great opportunity to meet people and meet coaches, and then you can relax and talk about basketball and maybe catch some food and just hang out and see what kind of people they are. And then with Quinn's situation was we get into a couple of good arguments about how to defend certain parts. So and that happened for 2-3 years, and it's just it's the same thing. It's just building a relationship. You're doing the same thing. You're in the same industry. You know how it works. You know the highs. You know the lows. And it's just reaching out. And if they're going through tough times, you just want to wish them all the best, because I think every coach gets fired at some stage. And then, and just building from there. It's, hey, listen, I've got a problem. How do I defend, Chris Golding coming off these screens? How do I defend Casper Ware in the finals? It's being able to get on the phone and ring these kind of people up and say, hey, this is what we did defending here. And I said, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And it's just sharing that knowledge and, tapping into their experience.
So life in Perth was fun, nice beaches and nice weather, go for walks, spend time with the family and kids and wandering here every couple of weeks. You left Perth on Boxing Day. You landed in the wee early hours of December 28 and played in Brooklyn that night. You were in Cleveland December 30. You were in Milwaukee against the Pacers on January 2. Away to Indiana on January 4, away to San Antonio January 5, away to Houston Jan 7. You're home at Utah on Jan 9. This podcast gets uploaded on January 10. So that's 7 games in a very, very short amount of time. How are you settling back in and handling suddenly just being back in the middle of it all?
Yeah, I forgot about the travel, and like the plane broke down last night as we were leaving Houston, so we were sitting on the tarmac for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, and we thought we might have to stay there the night again and fly. But we got home. I finished up getting home at just shy of 5 o'clock in the morning, and and getting ready for Utah now tomorrow night. But that's the way it is in the NBA. It's just constant travel, and it's the wear and tear, and that's half the battle. If you can battle through the adversity that you face and get through those things and still get some wins on the board, it's going to hold you in good stead for later in the year.
So do you guys review games with players, or is it all previewing the next game and scout? Like, is there time to look back on what you just did?
Yeah, well, there is, and it's a small window. You only got a small window, and it may be like today was a day off because we just finished a 5-day road trip. Day off for the players, it wasn't day off for the coaches. But and so we'll do the scouts, and tomorrow morning we'll meet again early in the morning, and coach will either review Houston's game, maybe have about 10 or 12 clips, and then move on to Utah. So it's a balance that you got to have, and the window of opportunity is certainly small.
Now, I know there's things you are and aren't allowed to speak about as an assistant coach. Are you allowed to talk about your role within the group?
Yeah, well, right now it's just getting familiar with the terminologies and the plays and the defensive coverages. It's quite engrossing of what, and I've had a baseline level knowledge because I've worked with AG, so that's kind of helped me fast track. But right now it's I got my first scout against Utah, so by the time hopefully this goes the air that we've beat Utah, as long as our personnel stays there, and it really helps when you got Dame out there and Giannis out there. It's having these all-star game players, and then you're coaching them and you're telling them where they should be at certain plays is certainly a change from sitting on the beach on Christmas Day in Perth.
I was going to ask you, when you walk into a locker room, and you've dealt with a lot of people over the years. You've dealt with some superstars of the game. You've been to an Olympics. You've been with the Raptors. When you walk in mid-season, though, with no opportunity to build any relationship, and suddenly Giannis is there, how do you go about building that relationship during the tension of a season? Yeah,
good question. It's the guys are really warm and welcoming. I met them at our video session before we played Brooklyn, so it wasn't much time, and most of the guys came up and congratulated me and welcomed me, and very warm from a guy they didn't know. So now it's just you see every day and have a bit of fun with them off the court, but while it's on the court, it's all business and video. So you build those relationships up, but certainly a little bit harder mid-season than it is in the off-season.
And he went nuts the other day, 48 points, 44 against the Spurs. You had Victor Wembanyama against you for the Spurs as well. Like you've walked straight back into an amazing situation. As I said, with everything you've done, do you still pinch yourself a little bit and going, wow, I'm back in where I deserve to be, but where I've always wanted to be?
Not really. I think you probably do that after. While you're in there, you're so engrossed of trying to get your team to play well and the tactics and the game time. But I got to say, when we played the Spurs last week, it was really I was absolutely amazed at Wembanyama, how ability to play out there. And then he threw one off the backboard and dunked it, and then behind the back and dunked it, and then blocked Giannis right at the end and shot a three. It was like, wow, this kid's really special, and to be sitting right there to see that kind of player is just, that's a probably pincher at the after. But while you're in the contest, like I'm fiercely competitive, as you know.
Yes.
Maybe have white line fever because I want to win. I want to win. So it's maybe good to sit back and watch those things later on. But while you're in the contest, you're certainly competing as much as you can to get the win.
You can take that word maybe away when you're saying maybe you have white line fever. You do have white line fever. So you said you got the scout for the Jazz game. As there's so many games that have been going on, are you just on that today, or have you been building towards that for how long do you get to build up for a scout?
Yeah, it's probably just about the last 2-3 days. Yeah, it's like I have a baseline from last year, obviously, which helps me a lot, but just getting up to speed with all the new stuff that they're doing, and they've obviously got some new players on there from last year. So, yeah, it's been pretty full on, and obviously your first scout with the team, you don't want to make mistakes. You want to make a good impression and make sure they think that this Aussie guy knows what he's talking about. So, yeah, a lot of work today and a lot of film, and hopefully we get a good performance.
And we mentioned relationships earlier. You were coaching against Matty Nielsen the other day at the Spurs. It's good to see. It must have been nice to catch up with your former assistant coach.
Yeah, we caught up pre-game. It was good to see Matty and just the the excitement at San Antonio with what they're doing there, and also caught up with Brett Brown. You know, Brett Brown, I stole a lot of his ideas when I was a young coach, and he was in North Melbourne coaching the Giants back in the day. I used to go at his sessions all the time, and there's a couple of life basketballers there. So yeah, there's a couple of mentors that I've been able to catch up to with too that coach over here, and it's really been beneficial for me.
And perhaps the most unique part about your game against the Jazz is there'll be two former Wildcats head coaches involved in that game, with yourself versus Scott Morrison in that way. So it's a real. I'm not sure if you've ever even met Scott before, but it is a unique situation for this game from a WA basketball perspective.
Yeah, I did meet Scott when I came home after that first year. I took him out for lunch, just tried to help him along the way, and that was just before he returned to America. So I wasn't sure that he was going to go back for the second year, but yeah, we caught up then. But it'd be a little bit different to seeing down the other end of the bench. There's a Wildcats coach, but it should be good fun.
Where'd you take him for lunch?
Well, we went to Tom's up North Beach there. It was quite a good spot, and obviously being in the snow in Toronto for the year, I was eager to get some good WA sunshine, and we did that.
Very, very nice. Now, since you were last in this studio, Bryce Cotton has gone fair dinkum nuts. 28 points, 36 points, 33 points, 24 points, 31 yesterday. You've coached him, obviously, and you've been in the NBA with teams. Why isn't he in the NBA? Why do teams continually overlook him? Can you provide some insight on that?
Well, don't forget he got offered a contract with Atlanta when he was come to us for the first year. You know, he passed up that 10-day contract to play with us and to win a championship because he hadn't won a championship before. And yeah, it's a funny thing that timing and the place where you are at the certain time plays a factor. And skill-wise, it's a no-brainer. He can. And then it gets on personnel, and Bryce's height is certainly going to be you can't have two small guards on the same team, so it's the balance of the team. You're trying to get a 6'4", 6'5", because defensively a little bit better. But I think Bryce has found his sweet spot in Perth. You know, he's married an Aussie, got a baby, got a new house, and and I'm so proud of him. He was one of the first guys that texted me when I got the job with Milwaukee, and I just said, keep leading, be the leader that you are, and he's dragging that team from the near bottom to being, locked in the top two almost, and it's almost a lay down. Bazaar that gets the MVP again. He's been outstanding throughout the whole season, probably for the first 3-4 games, an exception.
Tell me, you're a couple of years older than me. You're a Happy Days kid. Which was Milwaukee. Like, I know it was shot in California, but there's some streets there which are very famous, and they're not very far away from where you guys played. Would you be the sort of person who'd go on a bit of a drive, have a bit of a tour, and try to spot the moments that you were looking at when you were a kid?
I actually have done that. I've gone down for a walk. There's a statue of Fonzie down near the water. I have ventured down there and taken a photo with Fonzie. I was a big Happy Days fan from being a young kid. And
it was, as soon as you signed, Happy Days came straight into my head. I don't know why it happened, but it certainly did. Now, you are in an amazing position, though. Like, all jokes aside and around that, going to Milwaukee means you're involved with a team that's a genuine chance to win the whole damn thing. So that's not a phone call many people will get to say, come mid-season. I know we're very, very early in the season still, but this is a contender. That must be the most exciting part of what you're walking into.
Yeah, and with Coach Griffin, it was I probably wouldn't have done it for too many positions to come there if it wasn't for AG, the relationship I had, and obviously the team having a superstar with Giannis in there is unbelievable to be in that environment. Now the challenge is. We're not playing that well at the moment, is just get the team to a championship level and really getting some good foundations for the playoffs. That's the biggest thing right now, to make sure we develop this talented team into a championship team, and that's very hard to do, and this is the best competition in the world. You got playing against some great players. And it's a great challenge, and it's going to be a great experience in that journey.
Well, congratulations on heading back over there. I'm assuming you've been shopping to get some warm clothes, because it's going to be 38 degrees here on Saturday, and I think it's going to be -3 where you're living, so I'm sure that would have hit you extremely hard.
I quickly found out my wardrobe is not sufficient for the Midwest, and layering where you got a singlet, T-shirt, sweater, and a coat on is quite normal over here. From wearing my stubby shorts and thongs and a singlet down the beach, it's been a rude shock.
Well, look, thank you so much for your time. When we chatted pre-season about you being a fortnightly guest on this podcast, I don't think either of us expected that you'd be leaving mid-season to join the NBA. You were always pretty adamant that it'd be June or July before you even started looking for another job. So for it to come up and for you to get this chance, I think everyone in Perth is thrilled for you. Everyone in the NBL and Australian basketball is thrilled for you. So it's awesome to see you back in the big time, and hopefully we'll be seeing you even deeper into the season and having a real crack at trying to win this damn thing at the end of it.
Fingers crossed that we have a good. But thanks for the support. I've loved being on the show with you, Craig. It's still have a passion, and being in the media has really brought that passion out. Not only coaching, but to be involved in it. But thanks for the opportunity, and look forward to hopefully getting the championship ring over here to show you next time.
Oh, go Bucks! We're all on the Bucks bandwagon. So have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your scout, and we'll chat to you at different points whenever we can. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig. Cheers, mate.